I stood in front of our bedroom mirror, smoothing down my anniversary dress and practicing my smile. 6 years of marriage, and I still got butterflies thinking about surprising Travis with the romantic dinner I'd planned. The irony of what happened next still makes my stomach turn. My name is Blair, and this is the story of how my husband left me for my cousin on our anniversary, and how it became the best thing that ever happened to me. Blair? Travis's voice drifted up from downstairs. Can you come down for a minute? Something in his tone made me pause. 15 years together, and I knew every inflection of his voice. This wasn't his excited anniversary tone. This was his "we need to talk" voice. I descended the stairs slowly, my heels clicking against the hardwood. Travis stood in our living room, hands shoved deep in his pockets, and there, perched on our cream leather sofa like she belonged there, sat my cousin Layla. "What's going on?" I asked, though a cold feeling was already spreading through my chest. Travis cleared his throat. "Blair, we need to talk." "On our anniversary?" I meant it to sound light, but my voice cracked. "I'm in love with Layla," he blurted out. The room went silent. I could hear the tick of the grandfather clock Travis's parents had given us as a wedding gift. Tick, tick, tick. "How long?" The question came out surprisingly steady. Layla spoke up, her voice small. 8 months. 8 months. While I was planning our anniversary dinner, while we were having Sunday dinners with my family, while Layla was helping me pick out Travis's birthday gift, they were sneaking around behind my back. "I'm moving out today," Travis continued. "I've already packed my things." That's when I noticed the suitcases by the door. He'd planned this, waited for this moment. "Blair, say something," Layla pleaded, reaching for my hand. I pulled back sharply. "Don't touch me." "We never meant to hurt you," Travis said, running his hands through his hair, a nervous habit I once found endearing. "It just happened." A laugh bubbled up from somewhere deep inside me. "It just happened? For 8 months? I know this is a shock," Travis started. "A shock," I interrupted. "A shock is finding out you ate the last cookie. This is... I gestured between them, words failing me. "We want to do this right," Layla said, standing up. "That's why we're telling you now." "On our anniversary?" I turned to Travis. "Was that your idea or hers?" He had the decency to look ashamed. I thought, a clean break. "Clean?" I laughed again, and this time it sounded slightly hysterical. "There's nothing clean about this." I walked to the window, needing space, needing air. Outside, life went on normally. Mrs. Peterson walked her dog. Kids rode their bikes. The world hadn't stopped spinning just because mine had imploded. "I'll get my things," Travis mumbled, heading upstairs. Layla hovered uncertainly. "Blair, I hope someday you can forgive." "Stop." I turned to face her. "Just stop. You don't get to hope for anything from me anymore." She flinched but stayed put. "We're family." "We're family," I corrected. "Now you're just the woman who slept with my husband." Travis came back down, more bags in hand. The sight of him packing up his life so efficiently made something snap inside me. "You know what's funny?" I said, my voice eerily calm. "I spent weeks planning tonight. Made reservations at Bella's, bought a new dress, wrapped your gift." I gestured to the silver-wrapped package on the coffee table. "Go ahead, open it." "Blair, I don't think—" "Open it." With trembling fingers, he unwrapped the package. Inside was a leather-bound journal filled with photographs and memories from our 15 years together. On the last page, I'd written about my hopes for our future. "I was going to tell you tonight that I'm ready," I said softly. "Ready for the baby we've been talking about." The color drained from his face. Layla made a choked sound. "But I guess everything happens for a reason, right?" I walked to the door and held it open. "Goodbye, Travis." They left quietly, Travis pausing at the threshold. "I really am sorry." I met his eyes. "Not as sorry as you're going to be." The door clicked shut behind them, and I stood there, alone in the house we'd built together. The grandfather clock kept ticking. Outside, a kid laughed. And somewhere deep inside me, something shifted. I picked up my phone and dialed. Hey, Peyton. Remember that women's advocacy program we used to talk about? I think it's time. You're doing what? Peyton nearly spat out her coffee across the cafe table. 2 weeks had passed since my world imploded, and I was done wallowing. Starting the advocacy program, I repeated, sliding my laptop around to show her the rough business plan I'd drafted. Remember how we used to talk about this in college? Supporting women through career transitions, divorce, domestic violence? Peyton leaned forward, scanning the document. Of course I remember. But Blair, honey, are you sure this is the right time? You just found out about Travis and what better time, I interrupted. I've got nothing holding me back now. No husband telling me to play it safe with my career, no family obligations keeping me from taking risks. Speaking of family, Peyton hesitated. Have you talked to anyone besides Layla and Travis? I stirred my untouched latte. My sister Nadine's been checking in daily. Mom's alternating between wanting to kill Travis and trying to set me up with her dentist's son. Dad's, well, being dad. Quiet, supportive, probably plotting Travis's mysterious disappearance. And Annika? Has she reached out? Layla's sister sent me a text. Said she had no idea what was happening and she's disgusted with both of them. I pulled up the message on my phone. Actually, she might be a good resource for the program. She works in social services. You're really serious about this, aren't you? Dead serious. I opened another document. I've already found a potential space to rent. It's that old community center on Oak Street. They're practically giving it away because it needs renovation. Peyton's eyes widened. Blair, that's going to take serious money. I know. That's why I've set up a meeting with Eric Henry. The Eric Henry? The philanthropist? I nodded. He funds women's initiatives. I reached out through LinkedIn, and his assistant actually responded. Meeting's tomorrow. Holy shit. Peyton sat back. You're not messing around. No, I'm not. I closed my laptop. Travis and Layla thought they were writing the end of my story. They're not. They're just the catalyst for the beginning. My phone buzzed. Another text from Nadine. Heads up. Mom's on the warpath. Layla showed up at her book club. Oh God, I groaned, showing Peyton the message. Want to go watch the drama unfold? Actually, yes. I grabbed my coat. But first, help me pick out an outfit for tomorrow's meeting. If I'm going to convince Eric Henry to fund this program, I need to look the part. The next day, I sat in Eric Henry's sleek downtown office, trying not to fidget in my new blazer. He was younger than I expected, maybe early 40s, with kind eyes that seemed to see right through my professional facade. So, Ms. Rogers, he began, tell me why this program matters to you. I took a deep breath. Because 2 weeks ago, my husband left me for my cousin on our anniversary. His eyebrows shot up. That's certainly direct. I'm not telling you this for sympathy, I continued. I'm telling you because in the aftermath, I realized something. Women need support systems. Not just emotional support, but practical help. Career guidance, legal advice, financial planning. A community that lifts them up instead of tearing them down. And you think you're the right person to create this support system? I know I am. I opened my portfolio. I've spent the past 2 weeks interviewing local women, gathering data on what they need most. I've identified potential partners, created a business plan, and found an affordable space. What I need is someone who believes in this vision as much as I do. Eric leaned forward, studying my materials. This is impressive work for 2 weeks. Spite is an excellent motivator, I said before I could stop myself. He laughed, actually laughed, and the tension in the room broke. You know what? He closed the portfolio. I like you, Blair. You're not here playing the victim. You're channeling your pain into purpose. He pressed a button on his desk phone. Sarah, can you bring in the standard grant paperwork? My heart stopped. Does this mean... It means I'm willing to take a chance on you. Initial funding for 1 year with quarterly reviews. He smiled. Don't make me regret this. I won't, I promised, my hands shaking as I accepted the paperwork from his assistant. Later that night, as I sat on my sister's couch sharing the news, my phone lit up with a text from Travis. Can we talk? I showed Nadine the message. What are you going to say? She asked. I deleted the message without responding. Nothing. I've got better things to do than talk to him. I've got an advocacy program to build. Nadine raised her wine glass. To new beginnings? To new beginnings, I agreed, clinking glasses. And to karma being a patient friend. The electrical system needs a complete overhaul, the contractor said, shining his flashlight around the community center's dim interior. And don't get me started on the plumbing. I scribbled notes furiously. How long would the renovations take? 3 months minimum, but when it's done, he gestured around the space, you could fit at least 4 office spaces, a conference room, and still have room for group sessions in the main area. Perfect. I was already imagining it. Women gathering here, finding support, building each other up. Send me the quote by Friday? After he left, I sat cross-legged on the dusty floor, spreading out my papers. The grant from Eric would cover renovations and initial staffing, but we'd need more for long-term sustainability. My phone buzzed. Dad. Hey, sweetheart, got time for lunch? 20 minutes later, I slid into our favorite diner booth. Dad was already there, reading glasses perched on his nose as he studied the menu he'd memorized years ago. You look tired, he said by way of greeting. Thanks, Dad. You really know how to make a girl feel special. He smiled, reaching across to squeeze my hand. You know what I mean? Are you sleeping? I'm fine, just busy with the program launch. I picked up my menu, though we both knew I'd order the same turkey club I always did. How's Mom? Still plotting Travis's demise, though now she's moved on to elaborate scenarios involving public humiliation rather than actual murder, so I'd call that progress. I couldn't help but laugh. And how are you handling it all? He set down his menu, looking at me seriously. I'm proud of you, kiddo. Instead of falling apart, you're building something meaningful. Dad. My throat tightened. Your mother wants revenge. I get that. But what you're doing, that's real power. The waitress arrived to take our orders, giving me time to compose myself. As she walked away, Dad cleared his throat. There is something you should know, though. I ran into Peyton at the grocery store yesterday. She mentioned something about Layla. My stomach clenched. What about her? Apparently things aren't as rosy as they seemed. Travis has been, well, being Travis. Meaning? Working late, missing dates, the same stuff he did with you toward the end. I stirred my water with my straw, watching the ice cubes swirl. Karma's not wasting any time, is she? Apparently not. Dad paused as our food arrived. How does that make you feel? Honestly, nothing. I took a bite of my sandwich. I'm too busy to care about their drama. My phone lit up with a text from Annika. Can we meet? Need to talk about the program. And other things. Speaking of drama, I showed Dad the message. Are you going to meet her? I think I have to. She's been supportive, and she could be valuable to the program with her social work background. Later that afternoon, I met Annika at a small coffee shop across town. She looked nervous, fidgeting with her cup sleeve. Thanks for meeting me, she started. I wanted to talk about potentially volunteering with the program, but also... She took a deep breath. Layla's miserable. Not my problem. I know, but she's realizing what a mistake she made. Travis is, well, being Travis. I couldn't help but laugh. You're the second person to say that today. He's already showing his true colors. Missing dates, always working late, flirting with his secretary. Again, not my problem. I pulled out my program materials. Now, about volunteering. Blair, wait. Annika touched my arm. I know you don't want to hear this, but Layla's talking about leaving him. I set down my papers. After destroying my marriage and turning our family upside down, she's what? Having second thoughts? She knows she messed up, badly, but maybe this could be an opportunity, for the program, I mean. Her story could help other women. You want me to use my cousin's affair and subsequent regret as a cautionary tale for the program? Annika nodded hesitantly. I sat back, considering. It was a compelling idea, from a purely strategic standpoint. But was I ready to face Layla, to hear her story? I'll think about it, I said finally. But first, let's talk about how you can help with the program launch. We're planning a community needs assessment next week. As I drove home that night, I couldn't shake the image of Layla, realizing too late that she'd traded one version of Travis for another. Part of me wanted to gloat, to revel in their misery, but a smaller, quieter part wondered if there might be something more powerful in turning their mistake into a force for good. I pulled into my driveway, decision made. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all, it's growth. You invited who to the family dinner? Nadine's voice reached a pitch only dogs could hear. Layla, I repeated, sorting through paint samples for the community center. And before you freak out? Too late, Nadine paced my living room. Have you lost your mind? Mom will literally murder her with the good silverware. Mom knows she's coming. Dad's handling it. Oh, well, if Dad's handling it. Nadine collapsed onto my couch. Why are you doing this? I set down the paint samples. Because Annika's right. Layla's story could help other women. And I hesitated. Maybe it's time to stop letting this tear our family apart. That's very mature of you, Nadine said suspiciously. What's the real reason? You'll see at dinner. Sunday dinner arrived with its usual chaos. Mom stress-cooked enough food for an army, Dad played peacekeeper, and Nadine texted me updates from the kitchen. Mom stabbing potatoes like they personally betrayed her. I arrived early to help set up, finding Annika already there. Layla's nervous, she whispered as we set the table. Like, throwing up, nervous? Good, I said, then caught myself. Never mind. The doorbell rang. Mom's wooden spoon clattered against the pot. I'm not answering it. I will, I said, surprising everyone. Layla stood on the porch, looking smaller than I remembered. No designer dress today, just jeans and a sweater that had seen better days. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. Hi, she said softly. Come in. I stepped aside. Everyone's in the kitchen. The silence that fell when Layla entered was deafening. Mom gripped her wooden spoon like a weapon. Dad cleared his throat. Well, he said too brightly, shall we eat? Dinner was excruciating. Forks scraped plates. Someone coughed. Mom aggressively passed rolls. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. So, Layla, how's Travis? She flinched. I wouldn't know. We broke up last week. Mom's roll stopped halfway to her mouth. Nadine choked on her wine. What happened? I asked, keeping my voice neutral. I caught him with his secretary. Layla's laugh was hollow. Apparently, I should have seen it coming. Once a cheater. Oh, honey, Mom said, maternal instinct temporarily overriding anger. That must have been awful. I deserved it, Layla whispered. What goes around comes around, right? No one deserves that, I said, surprising myself. Which is why I asked you here tonight. All eyes turned to me. The Women's Advocacy Program is launching next month. We're focusing on helping women rebuild their lives after setbacks, divorce, career changes, bad relationships. I took a deep breath. I think your story could help others avoid the same mistakes. You want me to what? Stand up and tell everyone how I destroyed my cousin's marriage and got my karmic payback? I want you to help other women understand their worth, to recognize red flags, to know they deserve better than being someone's second choice. Tears spilled down Layla's cheeks. Why would you want to help me after what I did? Because holding on to anger is exhausting, and because sometimes the best way to heal is to help others heal too. Mom set down her spoon. Blair's right. What you did was terrible, but wallowing in it won't help anyone. Does this mean you'll stop plotting her death? Dad asked hopefully. We'll see, Mom sniffed, but I caught her small smile. Later, as everyone helped clean up, my phone buzzed with a text from Eric. Local news wants to do a story on the program launch. Interested? Everything okay? Nadine asked, loading the dishwasher. Better than okay. I showed her the text. The program's getting attention. Real attention. You know who's not going to like that? Nadine grinned. Travis. Travis doesn't get a vote anymore. Layla appeared in the doorway. I'll do it. I'll share my story at the launch. Maybe it'll help someone else avoid my mistakes. Thank you, I said. But Layla? This doesn't fix everything between us. I know. She twisted her hands together. But it's a start, right? From the living room, we heard Mom's voice rise. And another thing. Who does Travis think he is? Moving on to his secretary. That boy never did have the sense God gave a goose. Mom, Dad's patient voice responded, I thought we agreed to let it go. I'll let it go when I'm dead, Mark. Nadine, Layla, and I caught each other's eyes and burst out laughing. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. And sometimes, that's enough. As everyone left that night, I couldn't help but smile. The program was gaining momentum, family wounds were slowly healing, and karma, well, karma was doing her thing. Travis wouldn't know what hit him when the news story broke. And we're rolling in 3, 2, 1. The news reporter smiled professionally at the camera. I'm here with Blair Rogers, founder of the Rising Phoenix Women's Advocacy Program, which opens its doors next week. Blair, what inspired you to start this initiative? I sat straight in my chair, wearing the power suit Eric had insisted I buy for press appearances. Sometimes life hands you a moment where you can either break down or break through. This program was my breakthrough. Sources tell us your own experience with divorce influenced this project? Yes, I said carefully. But this isn't about one person's story. It's about creating a support system for women facing all kinds of transitions. The interview continued smoothly until the reporter dropped her bomb. And how do you respond to rumors that your ex-husband's new girlfriend, your cousin, will be speaking at the launch event? I kept my smile steady. Every story matters, even the uncomfortable ones, especially the uncomfortable ones. After the cameras stopped rolling, Eric appeared at my side. Perfectly handled. The nomination committee will love it. Nomination committee? For the Women in Leadership Award, I submitted your name last week. He straightened his tie. The ceremony's next month. Before I could respond, Peyton burst into the room. Blair, we have a situation. Travis is here. My stomach dropped. Here? Now? He's in the lobby. Says he needs to talk to you. Eric stepped forward. Want me to handle it? No, I said, standing. I've got this. Travis stood by the reception desk, looking exactly as I remembered, yet somehow different. Less intimidating. Smaller, somehow. Blair, he started, taking a step forward. This is a private building, Travis. You can't just show up here. I saw the news preview. He ran a hand through his hair. You're really going to let Layla tell everyone what happened? Afraid of bad publicity? My firm's partners won't like it. Your firm's partners? I laughed. That's what you're worried about? Blair, please. We can work something out. Maybe I could make a donation to your program in exchange for discretion? Let me get this straight, I said, my voice rising. You want to buy my silence, after everything? I'm trying to protect my career. Like you protected our marriage? The words shot out before I could stop them. You know what, Travis? This isn't about you. It's not even about me anymore. It's about helping women recognize their worth before they waste 15 years with someone like you. Is everything okay here? Eric appeared at my side, his presence solid and reassuring. Travis's eyes darted between us. Who's this? Eric Henry, major donor and board member, Eric said smoothly. And you are... leaving, I cut in. He was just leaving. Travis's jaw clenched. This isn't over. Actually, it is. I turned to Eric. Would you mind walking me back to my office? We should discuss that nomination. As we walked away, I heard Travis call out, You've changed. I looked back over my shoulder. Thank you. In my office, I collapsed into my chair. Well, that was fun. You handled it beautifully, Eric said, perching on my desk, though I might be biased. Biased? I find I'm becoming increasingly biased where you're concerned. He met my eyes. Would it be completely inappropriate if I asked you to dinner? My heart skipped. Yes. No. I took a breath. Dinner would be nice. Tomorrow? After the final renovation inspection? It's a date. The words slipped out before I could catch them. His smile widened. Yes, it is. After he left, Peyton appeared in my doorway. So, Eric Henry, huh? Don't start. I'm just saying he's successful, handsome, and he looks at you like you hung the moon. He's also on my board of directors. A minor detail. She dropped into a chair. So, what are you wearing tomorrow? Nothing, because it's not happening. I can't date my biggest donor. Why not? You're not that woman anymore, Blair. The one who plays it safe, who worries about what everyone else thinks. She was right. I wasn't that woman anymore. My phone buzzed with a text from Layla. Travis came by my place too. Tried to convince me not to speak at the launch. I told him to go to hell. I showed Peyton the message. Look at that, she grinned. Your cousin grew a backbone. Maybe we all did. So, about that dinner outfit? I laughed, pulling up my calendar. Help me pick something. But Peyton, let's keep this quiet for now. The last thing I need is Mom playing wedding planner again. Deal. But when you win that leadership award next month, you better let him be your date. I thought about Eric's kind eyes, about Travis's diminished presence, about how far I'd come from that woman in the anniversary dress. Maybe I will, I said. Maybe I will. The annual family reunion buzzed with tension. Aunt Martha's famous potato salad sat untouched as relatives clustered in whispered groups, stealing glances at me, then at Layla, then back again. We'd agreed to attend separately, her in the afternoon, me in the evening, but plans changed when the local news crew asked to cover the event. Ready for this? Nadine appeared at my elbow, clutching a glass of wine. Define ready. I smoothed down my dress for the 100th time. In 30 minutes, I'd be announcing the program's success to our entire extended family, and the evening news. Mom's already had 3 glasses of wine, Nadine reported. Dad's stress-eating cocktail weenies, and you'll never guess who just showed up. My stomach dropped. Travis? With his secretary-turned-girlfriend. Bold move, considering half the people here still want him dead. I scanned the crowd until I spotted him. Travis, looking uncomfortable in a polo shirt that was slightly too tight. A petite blonde hovering nervously beside him. What's he doing here? Uncle Rob invited him. Apparently, they're still golf buddies. Fantastic. I checked my phone. Another text from Eric. On my way. Traffic's terrible. Save me some of that famous potato salad? Despite everything, I smiled. Is that Eric? Nadine waggled her eyebrows. How was dinner last week? Perfect, I admitted. And then the next dinner was perfect too, and the one after that. Look at you, glowing like a teenager, she nudged me. Think Travis has noticed? I don't care if... I stopped as Layla approached, looking uncertain. Hey, she said softly. The news crew wants to do a pre-interview with both of us. Something about the power of forgiveness angle. Now? She nodded. They're setting up by the oak tree. That's where Travis proposed, Nadine muttered. Even better, I said grimly. Let's give them what they want. The reporter positioned us carefully, the ancient oak tree framing the shot. Through the viewfinder, I could see Travis watching, his new girlfriend forgotten at his side. So, ladies, the reporter began, tell us about this unique partnership. Layla spoke first, her voice steady. I made a terrible mistake. I hurt someone I loved, destroyed relationships, and learned the hard way that karma is real. And Blair, you've turned this personal tragedy into triumph? I turned pain into purpose, I corrected. The Rising Phoenix program isn't about my story. It's about every woman's story, including Layla's. Speaking of stories, the reporter smiled, I understand congratulations are in order. The Women in Leadership Award nomination is quite an honor. From the corner of my eye, I saw Travis straighten up. Yes, it is, I said. The ceremony's next month, and we're hoping... Blair, a familiar voice called out. Eric jogged up, slightly out of breath. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was a nightmare. The reporter's eyes lit up. And who's this? Eric Henry, he said smoothly, sliding an arm around my waist. Board member, donor, and very proud boyfriend. Travis's cocktail glass shattered on the patio. Cut! The reporter called out, delighted by the drama. Can we get that entrance again? Actually, I said, I think we have something better. Layla, ready to tell your story? She nodded, straightening her shoulders. Ready. For the next hour, we talked about the program, about healing, about turning mistakes into missions. The camera caught every moment, including Travis's hasty exit with his girlfriend, and the way Eric never left my side. That was amazing, Eric whispered as the crew packed up. You're amazing. Get a room, Nadine called out, passing by with more wine. Mom appeared, flushed with pride and probably wine. Blair, honey, the program sounds wonderful. And Eric, she turned to him, you're coming to Sunday dinner next week. No arguments. Yes, ma'am, he grinned. Did you see Travis's face? Layla asked quietly. When Eric showed up? I was too busy looking at Eric, I admitted. That's how I know you've really moved on. She squeezed my hand. Thank you. For everything. The sun was setting as the reunion wound down. Eric and I sat under the oak tree, sharing the last piece of Aunt Martha's potato salad. So, he said, about that award ceremony next month? Yes? I was thinking, maybe we could make it a double celebration? My heart stopped. What do you mean? He pulled out a small velvet box. I'm not proposing, not yet. But this is a promise ring. A promise that when you're ready, when it's right. Yes, I whispered, letting him slip the delicate ring onto my finger. When it's right. From across the yard, I heard Mom's delighted squeal. Nadine was probably already planning the wedding. And somewhere, Travis was realizing exactly what he'd lost. But sitting there, under the oak tree with Eric, none of that mattered. What mattered was that I'd found my strength, my purpose, and maybe even my happy ending. The Women in Leadership Award ceremony glittered with possibility. Hundreds of people filled the hotel ballroom, their excited chatter mixing with the soft, classical music playing overhead. Eric squeezed my hand under the table. Nervous? He whispered. Terrified, I admitted. What if I trip on stage? Then I'll trip too, make it look intentional. Peyton leaned across the table. Heads up, Travis just walked in. I refused to turn around. With the secretary? No, Nadine chimed in, not even trying to be subtle about her rubbernecking. He's alone, and he looks rough. Can we not? I adjusted my speech cards. This night isn't about him. You're right, Mom said, reaching over to straighten my necklace. It's about my brilliant daughter who turned heartbreak into hope for hundreds of women. Speaking of which, Eric nodded toward the stage. I think they're ready to start. The lights dimmed as the MC took the stage. I half listened to the opening remarks, my mind on the 50 women from our program sitting at sponsored tables throughout the room. Women who'd found their strength, just like I had. And now, the MC announced, to present the Women in Leadership Award, please welcome Layla Schmidt. My head snapped up. This wasn't part of the plan. Layla walked onto the stage, looking elegant in a simple black dress. Her hands shook slightly as she adjusted the microphone. A year ago, she began, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I betrayed someone I loved, someone who had always been there for me. I thought I was choosing happiness, but I was really choosing destruction. The room fell silent. But my cousin Blair? She chose something else. She chose to transform her pain into purpose. While I was learning hard lessons about karma and consequences, she was building something beautiful. I felt Eric's hand tighten around mine. The Rising Phoenix program has helped dozens of women rebuild their lives. Women leaving abusive relationships. Women starting over after divorce. Women like me, who had to hit rock bottom before they could rise. Tears pricked at my eyes. So it is my profound honor to present this year's Women in Leadership Award to my cousin, my inspiration, and yes, my friend, Blair Rogers. The room erupted in applause as I made my way to the stage. Layla hugged me tight, whispering, I hope this was okay. I took the podium, looking out over the crowd. I spotted Travis near the back, looking smaller than I remembered, but my eyes were drawn instead to Eric's proud smile, to my family's beaming faces, to the women whose lives we'd touched. Thank you, I began. A wise person once told me that sometimes life hands you a moment where you can either break down or break through. Standing here tonight, I see so many women who chose to break through. I shared stories of our program participants, The domestic violence survivor who now counsels others, the divorced mother who started her own business, the young woman who left a toxic relationship and found her voice. But this award isn't just about me, I continued. It's about every person who supported this dream. My family, who showed me that love is stronger than betrayal. Eric, who believed in me when I was still learning to believe in myself. I paused, finding Travis's eyes in the crowd. And yes, it's even about those who hurt us, because sometimes our greatest pain leads to our greatest purpose. The Rising Phoenix program isn't just about helping women survive. It's about helping them soar. The standing ovation that followed was deafening. As I returned to my seat, Eric pulled me close, kissing me softly. "Proud of you," he murmured. Later, during the reception, Travis approached our table. He looked uncertain, almost fragile. "Congratulations," he said quietly. "You've done something amazing here." "Thank you," I replied, surprised to feel nothing but calm. "How are you?" "Honestly, starting over? The secretary, that didn't work out." "I heard," I said. "There's a men's support group that meets at the center on Thursdays. If you're interested in real change." He nodded slowly. "Maybe I will." "And Blair? I really am sorry. For everything." "I know," I said. "But I'm not." As he walked away, Eric wrapped his arms around me. "Ready to go home?" "Almost." I turned to face him. "Remember that promise ring?" "Of course." "I'm ready, when you are." His face lit up. "Yeah?" "Yeah." From across the room, I heard Mom's excited squeal. Somehow she always knew, and Nadine's delighted laughter. Layla caught my eye and smiled, genuine happiness replacing the guilt that had haunted her for so long. The Rising Phoenix program had started as my revenge against betrayal, but somewhere along the way, it had become something more. It had become my redemption, my purpose, my future. And standing there in Eric's arms, surrounded by family and friends and the women we'd helped, I knew this was just the beginning. "If you cry, I'll cry, and then my makeup will run," Nadine warned, adjusting my veil in the church dressing room. "I'm not crying," I lied, blinking rapidly. "I'm just thinking about how far we've come." "Save the reflection for your vows," Mom bustled in, carrying my bouquet. "Though I still think you should have let me add more flowers to the centerpieces." "Mom, everything is perfect." I turned to the mirror, hardly recognizing myself in the elegant white dress. "Even the centerpieces." A soft knock at the door revealed Layla and Annika. "The program participants are all seated," Layla reported. "Front 3 rows, just like you wanted." "And Travis?" Nadine asked hesitantly. "In the back with his new girlfriend," Annika said. "The counselor from the men's support group? They actually met through the program." I smiled, remembering his nervous phone call asking if it would be okay to bring her. He'd been attending the support group regularly, working on himself, learning to be better. It felt right having him here, witnessing this new beginning. "5 minutes!" Peyton called through the door. Dad appeared, looking dapper in his tuxedo. "Ready, kiddo?" "Almost." I turned to Layla. "Thank you for everything." She hugged me carefully, mindful of the dress. "Thank you for showing me how to be strong." The wedding march began, and everyone scrambled into position. As Dad and I waited behind the closed doors, he squeezed my hand. "You know," he said softly, "sometimes the worst things that happen to us lead us to the best things." The doors opened, and Eric's face at the altar made everything else fade away. He looked at me like I was his miracle, his eyes shining with tears he didn't bother hiding. Our vows were personal, honest, real. Eric spoke about finding love when he least expected it, about watching me turn pain into purpose. I talked about learning to trust again, about building something beautiful from broken pieces. "The Rising Phoenix program taught me that every ending is just a beginning in disguise," I said, my voice steady despite the tears. "Eric, you didn't just believe in my dream, you helped make it soar, and I promise to spend the rest of my life soaring with you." The reception was a beautiful chaos of family, friends, and program participants. Mom danced with everyone, Dad gave an emotional speech that had the whole room crying, and Nadine caught the bouquet, though I'm pretty sure she tackled someone for it. May I have this dance? Travis's voice surprised me during a slow song. I glanced at Eric, who nodded encouragingly. You look happy, Travis said as we swayed awkwardly. Really happy. I am. The program, it changed my life too, you know. Made me face some hard truths about myself. I know. Sarah told me you've been helping other men recognize their toxic behaviors. He smiled slightly. Karma works in mysterious ways, doesn't it? It does. I spotted Sarah watching us, her expression gentle. She's good for you. She is. And Eric, he's everything I should have been. No, I said firmly. He's exactly who he is, and I'm exactly who I am. We can't change the past, Travis. We can only learn from it. The song ended, and Eric appeared at my side. Mind if I steal my wife back? Wife. The word sent tingles through me. Later, as Eric and I swayed to our last dance, I looked around the room. Mom and Dad, still so in love after 30 years. Nadine flirting with Eric's best man. Layla and Annika laughing with program participants. Travis and Sarah, heads bent close together, starting their own story of redemption. What are you thinking? Eric murmured in my ear. I'm thinking about phoenixes, I said. About how sometimes we have to burn everything down to build something better. And did you? Build something better? I thought about the hundreds of women we'd helped, the lives we'd changed, the strength we'd found together. I thought about the man holding me, who saw my broken pieces and called them beautiful. We all did, I said. Every single one of us. The music faded, but Eric kept holding me. Ready for our next adventure? I looked up at him, at the future shining in his eyes. With you, always. As we left the reception, under a shower of rose petals, I caught one last glimpse of my family. All of them, even the ones who had hurt me, even the ones I had to forgive to find my happiness. They were all part of my story, my rising, my triumph. And as Eric and I drove away toward our honeymoon, toward our future, I knew that some endings aren't really endings at all. They're just the first page of a better story. A story of strength, of redemption, of rising from the ashes again and again until you finally learn to fly.